What's up guys? Today we are going to work on a W123 Coupe and we are going to be doing some OEM replacement of window seals. I found a bunch of videos about window adjustment for the 4-door versions that have a full frame around the windows, but I haven't found a lot about the Coupe windows which line up to the body of the vehicle. So there's a lot more fine-tuning adjustment to get these seals to line up. Not just putting the window up and down inside its frame to get the alignment. So today we are going to do a tutorial video. We're going to be taking off the door card here. We're going to be taking off the rear seat, so that way we could take off our rear panel here. That will give us access to our window track for our coupe. And then we'll be replacing this seal right here, and we'll be also replacing the seal right here, I believe, as well. Over here we have 2 for each side, a set and a set, so we'll be doing the passenger side as well. I'll be learning just as much as you. I do have some factory manual downloaded on my phone that shows you the front window adjustments and the order that Mercedes wanted you to do them in. We'll also grease all of our tracks while we're in there. Try and get everything as lined up as much as possible. This whole seal right here I had already previously replaced, so that is all brand new. I'm going to try and figure out the best placement of this gap right here where the window comes in. It wasn't clear to me based upon other YouTube videos and photos that I found whether this is supposed to be on this side and then this seal starts here, or if this was an overlap on this side. Most of the stuff I found had it overlapped here, but it seems kind of counterintuitive because it's so much lower than then the quarter of the window gets caught right in that spot. So I might redo that a little bit and pull this back the other direction. And then we'll finally be either gluing or siliconing the gap between these two. Since it's not a continuous seal, there's a low wind noise that gets in that area too. So once everything's set, that'll be the final step there. Stay with me and we're going to start to pull out these door cards, the back seat and our back panels, and then we could really see what's going on in there. Okay, now that we got all the screws off, the rest of the door panel is just held in with panel pins. Now what we could do is move our plastic moisture guard here out of the way and reveal all the inner workings of our door structure. We have an adjustment here that could go up and down. We got one here. I think we got a front one right up here that will adjust our various window tint. There's one right in here. I think this one's for a stop specifically. And then We also have down here, it's a, let me get this light. This is like an angle of the window. So when this edge meets this edge, if this angle is wrong, then we're going to be much further away on top than on the bottom. So this lets you dial in to match the angle of our back edge of the window with the angle of our coupe window. Very helpful. And there's also one right here. Can you see it? On the front, right down there. Same exact thing. It makes this edge angle equal with this edge angle. So as the door closes, it will equally hit up against this seal. We're going to go ahead and go through all of that stuff, but first we're going to go ahead, get the back seat out, get the back panel out, and be able to see all the same similar mechanisms for the rear quarter window. All right, the first thing about back seats in the Mercedes is that they have these little push buttons, and that's what's holding the spring into the bottom of the body of the car. The bottom of the seat is out. We could get the side of the seat out, and the side of the seat has hardware secured. It's kind of hard to see because I have to lift it up like this, but I think you can see that there's a 8mm head bolt there, one of those on either side. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a socket for those. So as you can see now, we have lots of access back here, and we could start taking this panel off. This panel, I've removed it before years ago, but I don't quite remember how. So we're gonna have to learn together. There it is. It wasn't taking the whole piece along with it because it got a little bit separated from each other. So now that we got the whole lip over, we can pull this piece out, get it around the seatbelt on that side, and pull some slack on here, and then we can disconnect our wiring down here on the back side. Here, I'll show you guys. I just did this plug right here, was plugged under here to our switch. You just pull it off, no things to press, and this is now free. What I might do for ease is I guess I could remove this bolt up here and get this out, so this will drop down and we can push the panel out of the way. So I'm gonna go get a socket for that. Looks to me to be like around 11/16, so maybe like a 17mm. We'll start there and see what that does. So we'll be back with that socket. We might end up popping the switch out over here. That way we could put in here and have our coupe window still be actuating, so we could do testing and grease the track and do all that. Now we are here. We could take this metal plate off as well because we're going to be getting to this seal right here, which as you can see is pretty rotted away. And then also I believe we're going to be taking this out. This piece of trim, so that's one mounting place for it, and we'll have to figure out how the rest of it mounts in. And the whole plate comes off just like that. All right, so now we're gonna go up to our trim, or this will work for this, just like that. All right, I've got the coupe window down, and I realized that besides this hardware, there's actually not other hardware, but there's a clip system. So if you pull this back, you can see there's a clip right here, and then there's a clip on the inside edge, and that sandwiches in. And once that's all held together, then this hardware keeps everything from moving. All right, So we got our old seal right here, and this was number 110. The other one's number 110A, and they are mirror images of each other, so they're pretty easy to tell apart. But here you could see how the seal was, and it's very degraded, and how nice and velvety this one is. This part will line up. So this piece would get shoved under, like so, all the way back. There it is. It's kind of snapped into place. Yes, this goes on the inside lip. You just press it down. And it looks like it's a little bit proud here, a 1/4 inch, so we're gonna have to shove this side in really far back as possible, which is good because it'll cover up this lip right here. But we're gonna hold off on that for a minute. First, we'll get this coupe window out. Then, once that's out, we'll deal with lining up this seal and this one here. Then we can put the window back in with the new seal, put our new outer seal in here, get our chrome back mounted with everything. And then after that, we can start aligning this window once the coupe window is in place. So we probably need to bring this up and down into some various positions in order to access some of the screws holding the window to the track. Window up. Aha! And now we can see there's a bolt right here. Reaching. Okay, there's a bolt right there also. Let's see where can we get to that one from. You can get that one in this position, and then raise it to this position, and that should be the whole window. And as you can see here, this little L tab is too thin, so I welded a giant piece of 1/4 inch square stock in there, and that keeps the tab from bending. That's what prevents, when that tab bends in, the window dives in a certain way where it goes, hits in the side. So I've had this all out before. All right, so after some digging, I think what needs to happen is this bolt and this bolt up here for this guide post need to come off, because there's one wheel hidden behind here that's inside the guide post that's preventing from pulling the window out this way. So I think mounting back here is all taken care of. As far as I could see, yeah, there's no tracks or anything, but there's this guide post which has this bolt in there. You can kind of see it. Ugh. So seat forward, you can see it through here, right there. So we just need to loosen, yep, that's one of them in there, and I think the bottom one in here. And then once the guide post is out of the way, this window should come out pretty easy. There it is, and obviously you'll have the curve of this piece. So now I just gotta decide if, does that sit flush up with the top? Is it supposed to? And I think our coupe window maybe comes over to like here, and this is the front glass, roughly. Guide post that I dropped in here, and now that should easily come out like this. We got the guide post, and this track looks pretty dry, so we could clean it with some brake clean, get it nice and dry, and then put some fresh grease in it. And this square, I call it a roller, but I guess it's really a square roller, goes up and down in this track. So it'd be nice if this were greased and it's easy to slide up and down. Let's go ahead and clean these things up first, then we'll get the seal in. We'll start putting all this stuff back together. Appeared to be, it does have left to right, okay. So as the track goes up, if I shift this more towards the outside of the car, that should make it so that when it's in the, when that bottom piece is in the up position, it would push the whole window out towards this direction. So let's go ahead and just start there. This one. Where's this one and see if there's, okay, there's a little movement in there. So our top was too close, our bottom was too far, so pulling this in an angle as much as possible this way, tighten it back in. Come down, make sure it's, yeah, there is a little bit of here. Now let's get it to come back up. And then we'll pull this down just like hair like that. Tighten it in that spot. And now go back up. Alright, so I did a bunch of window adjustments. I can walk you through exactly the steps I did. So first I had the window all the way down. I loosened these two 10mm, and that made this triangle piece loose. I was closing the door with the window down, and then you can press it up so it lightly touches this ceiling surface. Tighten these two down. Then you raise the window up and you level right here. You make the glass even. And then you can use, this is the upward stop over here and over here for both sides. So this one dictates where this edge is going to meet up. And then this one you can use afterwards to level the back, so that way it will mate up just underneath here. You can also, if you need to tilt the window at all, these are the track mounts, and you can see that this one has an oblong hole, so it has room to go up and down. So you could use that to sort of fine tune. And then even the window itself, when you bring the track down, has 3 mounting spots that mount the bottom of the window to the motor mechanism, and those also you can shift up and down slightly. So I made a bunch of adjustments. Then finally you come over here, and this is a guide, plastic guide, and it's supposed to sit just up against the back edge of the window, I guess, to keep it stable and level, and so it doesn't rattle around as it goes up and down. Lastly, in my situation, which I think I might have fixed anyway, but I have these clear tints. I don't know if you could see because it's kind of hard on camera, but there's some scratches that were occurring. And those scratches were from the inside of this trim piece. Now, this is a mistake I also made on the Toronado, which I learned that lifting your window higher, it doesn't always mean higher. The more you have the window, the top set, so the window could get higher, the more it arcs in, which actually sort of makes it lower. So as we're closing the window here, it's on the not the fully closed position, right? We actually have a gap, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be way too low. But as it pushes into the car, it actually will push up higher. But if you have it too high to begin with and it just kind of sets in there, then you're actually not gonna have an even ceiling surface all the way across. The angle also becomes more severe. So I was trying to also, with the more severe angle, you also have to line up this parallel to our seal on here, or else you're gonna, if this is too far forward, you're gonna have a lot of resistance and be pushing the window out up against this seal. It'll be very hard to close the door. The gap is a little bit bigger on the bottom than the top, but you do want it to sit in, and you can see that it didn't take too much effort to get it to sit nice and tight there. In order to adjust the window, this curve going this way and this way, there are 2 spots down here, one right here and one for the front angle, and those are like a double nut deal. So there's a nut in the back, you loosen, and then you, from the front, you can run in or run out the adjuster, and that will push this track piece back or forth. So if you can imagine, if you push the bottom of the track this way, the top of the window is going to start to pivot in this way. And that's how you could change the angle. The opposite goes. So I actually had these cranked because I had the window too high last time, and to compensate, I had them cranked with the angle coming in this way. But once I got my my window at the right height, it turned out that I could loosen them a whole lot, and now I even still have, it's still a little bit closer on the top than the bottom. I'm not sure if it needs to come out just a hair more, but that was pushing the clips on the inside of the seal. So this is the outside part of the clip. It hangs over this lip and then is on the inside here, and it has this seal has aluminum channel that sits down into the clip, and it was so severe that it started to do little scrapes on the tint on the window. So now that, well, two things. One, I corrected all the angles so it's not as severe pushing in this way. But secondly, I took this whole channel out, and on each of the edge of these clips, I took just little pieces of Velcro and I cut them out, and it has adhesive on the back, so I wrapped it around the clip. And so if perchance the window gets too close to the clips again, it's going to be rubbing on nice smooth Velcro. I then put 3 pieces of painter's tape across and ran it up and down, and it didn't get scratched. So I think we're good. We're going to get this tint redone because it's already was peeling just because I guess it wasn't adhered exactly correctly. We did our adjustments at the front, we did our adjustments in the rear for the height, then we did a little adjustment for the relative tilt angle front to back, then we did adjustments on our tilt angle in to match this new coupe window seal, and finally now the door closes and it presses up. So I was worried about this overhang, right? Because I saw the pictures, the spatter seal was here. But now that I adjusted the window correctly, it does seem like it does make a nice seal all the way across. Right here, it looks like there's a gap, but that's actually the new seal popping out. If you remember, the new seal is kind of like a little channel. So it's a lot thicker, or more robust than the old one that's been worn down. So that's pressed up all the way vertically. And then as you can see here, this sits in nicely pressed up against the inside of this seal all the way running down. When it's done, you could look here and see that this pillar is slightly off. So what we want is probably to bring this side out a little bit, so that way this line, this seal ends right here, and this whole line will be nice and straight. So it's a little bit narrower up top and the gap is a little bit wider at the bottom. And it says in the instructions, subsequently, after adjusting this, you subsequently adjust the rear window, which means to me that you do the rear window second. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't bring this edge out a little bit and see if that helps making this completely perpendicular relative to the line here of this window. So let's go ahead, I gotta pull the seat back up so I can get back there, and we'll see what adjustments we have to pull that bottom edge out. All right, test drive went pretty good. There's still a hair of wind noise, and so I think I'm gonna add some silicone just around these little edges where everything meets. But as you can see, the window sits nice and tight up in there. You see it's squeezing the seal up against the next seal. And then if we put up our coupe window, so that one sits right into here, and it mates up right before the other seal starts. So right here they have a nice tight fit as well. And you close this window with that window, everything still smooshes together nice and tight. There's no air leaks coming from here, none from all around here. It's just that upper little corner. So I think a little bit of silicone is gonna do it for that. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this window down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and grease up these 2 tracks while this is open. And I'll put this window down as well. And then we could do the silicone, let that set up while we turn the car around and start taking off the other panels. Okay, we are on to side 2, passenger side. We're gonna get rid of this gross seal. And then also we're gonna focus on realigning this. As you can see, it covers half, doesn't cover down here, it covers up here, so everything is misaligned. This window though is actually pretty good as far as alignment with our little square dilly. And here there's a gap right here, so we're gonna pull this down, and then also these are reversed, so we're gonna push that slack into there, reset the seal, and then this piece will come out to the outer edge here, just like our other side. We'll also be pulling this window out so we could get a new seal into here, into this coupe window, and then finally when we put it back in, we can align it up. So in order to start, do the same thing as the previous door and go ahead and take these two, the back 3, this front 2, and then it'll pop out with panel clips all the way around this circumference of the door. So pretty easy, get this door panel off. Let's do that first. Then we'll be going back here, we'll get the upper panel off, then take off the lower panel, which has the one screw behind the upper panel, take off this plate right here. Yeah, once that stuff's off, we'll be golden to start getting to our coupe windows so we can get out and replace the seal and the seal. All right, so we got all of our windows aligned and our new seals in, and everything is working nice as it should. We got our tracks greased up with fresh grease. So I went ahead and put some silicone clear RTV on the backside in this seam right here, some a little bit in this seam right here. Hopefully catch that last tiny bit of gap, prevent any wind noise from coming in there. So I have all the windows down, doors open, waiting for this to dry, and I am focusing my attention now onto these panels that go above the rear panels on the back seat. All the plastic clips had broken off a long time ago, except for this one survivor, but it doesn't have a receiver on the inside. I am gonna fix that using Velcro. So I've cut out a whole bunch of strips. My idea is to have a strip down here, like this, and then the mating strip is gonna be over here. I'm gonna clean up this surface so it'll stick. Then you can see there actually used to be, I pulled it off, Velcro right here. So I'm gonna replace that with a brand new fresh piece. That'll catch the bottom lip. And then I'm gonna have, this is the top lip right here. I'm gonna have a big fat piece here and one in the center. I think with some super glue, these are also adhesive, but you know that stuff never really does that well. So adhesive and super glue, I could get them to stick to the plastic piece. And then on the inside of the car, I'm gonna go ahead and do some drilling because this is there's a big gap between the outside wall and this wall, so I could use a tiny screw and actually drill in our pieces of Velcro on the inside of the car. That way they're not coming off of this headline material or this foam, which adhesive and glue does not like to stick to. So they'll actually get bolted or screwed into the metal backing here, and that will keep our Velcro on, which will then keep our panels on. So I could go ahead and make my little felt Velcro pieces for all these clips, just in case the window ever decides to rub. It's not gonna put a big scratch in the tint. I had made these aluminum covers for the rotted plastic that cover over the seatbelt like this. They were nice, but I think they got some spots of cleaner over the years from when it was washed on the inside when the windows closed and never got wiped off. So I'm gonna go ahead and polish these out and then spray them again with some clear before they permanently go back in the vehicle. as you can see, we got the driver door in, we got our upper and lower panels looking really nice. And the only thing left we have to do now is our seats and our little covers here. So I'm gonna walk around to where the seat is and then show you guys exactly how to hook this thing up. As you can see on the back here, there are these little metal ledges that stick up, and those correlate with, there's 1, 2, 3 spots, and those hook over each of those panels right there. So you gotta kind of lift it up, push in to make sure that goes over that, and then they will sink down. Once it sinks down, it's locked in, and you could put in a piece of hardware here. And this job is mostly complete. I'm just gonna go ahead, make some Velcro for each side of these shiny pieces over here. Once those are in place, we could put up the windows, close our doors, and go for a little, hopefully breeze-free test drive. Thanks for watching the W123 Coupe window seals and window adjustment tutorial video. Hopefully you got some cool tips and tricks. Stick around, we got some other stuff on this channel that's going to be automotive related. It might be useful to you or just fun to watch. Until then, get in the garage and give your car the love it deserves.